It's 11 trivia questions on What's the Theme, written by Luke Mckay and answered by my friend Casey O'Connor. This is Trivia with Buds. What it be, and welcome to another episode of the Trivia with Buds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Buds. Thanks for checking out this show. If you like trivia, if you like pop culture, if you like movies, music, television, video games, comic books, you're in the right place. Show comes out every single day, and you should hit subscribe right now on your device so you never miss an episode. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/trivia with buds and join the 50 other people who are helping the show grow bigger and better every single day and see all the different reward tiers you can be part of. For $10, I can shout out anything you want once a month on the show. If somebody's birthday's coming up, maybe you have a company or a business you're starting or a coupon code you want to get out in the world, just let me know. That's only $10 for you. Also, at $15, we have a DVD club. That's a fun thing where I send you a random DVD with a little quiz, 5 questions about the movie in question. So if you like movies, if you like watching stuff, if you having digital homework, that's a fun thing to do. You do have to have a DVD player to play the DVD, which people don't have anymore because everything's streaming. But if you're a cinephile, you should sign up for that. And if you are a trivia host who lives near or far, but you need some content, like my friend, let's see, what was this guy's name? He just emailed me yesterday. He's a new friend of the show, and his name is Christopher Callahan, getting started on the East Coast in the New England area. And he said, hey, do you have any way I can get some content from you to get this business going? And I said, Christopher, you've come to the right place. For $50 a month on Patreon, you can get all of the rounds that I use at my live events. And I send them to you as a zip file every month. And you also get access to my database of thousands of rounds of questions. And all you have to do is email me and say something like, hey, do you have any 80s rounds or 80s movies rounds or anything specific? And I can search and go, yeah, here you go. Here's a couple of rounds. So hit that up at the Patreon's highest level. That's $50. But again, you get all the stuff below it and you get access to all those rounds that I use. So pretty cool resource and pretty easy to do. Today's episode is a What's the Theme round, 10 random questions and one theme between all the answers, written by Luke Mckay, who writes great trivia, as you've come to learn from this show. If you want to reach out to Luke, find him, Luke Mckay, on just about everything, and say, hey, dude, love your quizzes. I'm sure he'd like to hear it. You can also interact with him on the Discord app chat. If you are a $1 Patreon subscriber or more, we have an ongoing chat room in Discord. It's kind of like AOL, and we just kind of jump in there and post fun stuff. Today, I posted a round about the internet, of all things, to go play. So go check that out. And welcome, Son of Manimal, who says, just showed up, hold my beer, in the welcome bot version of the welcome in Discord. So very cool. That's my friend Manny, and happy to have you on board. The guest on today's episode is also Casey O'Connor, Pop Culture Casey on Instagram, and half creator of Voltage VHS lamps. If you like that kind of thing, check out the links in the show notes. And Casey has some fun answering these questions today, as I knew he would, from Luke Mckay. We're going to jump into that episode right now. Let's see if you can figure out the theme along with Casey. Here we go. Sitting here on a phone call with one of my good pals, Casey O'Connor. How are we doing, Casey?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am doing good. I called you up. I said, what are you doing? You want to do a podcast episode? You said you were trying to get around Hollywood, but there was some crazy stuff going on, so you just turned around and went home. What were you going to do?
Yeah, there's a large bike race going on Hollywood Boulevard and the surrounding areas.
Oh, man. That's nuts. So what were you guys going to see, a movie or something?
No, I was actually going to pick up something from Hollywood Island that I had ordered, but I should have done more research, apparently. So.
There you go. Casey is a coworker of mine, a good buddy of mine, and a fellow collector friend. What are you most into collecting, Casey? You've been on the show a few times, so tell people, what are some of your newest, coolest things you've acquired?
Mostly what I collect is Funko vinyl pop figures. I've also been getting into Super 7 reaction figures.
Okay.
Which I found pretty cool, and they've been licensing some interesting stuff that not many other people have been licensing, so that's been kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And NECA it's a toy company that does great figures that I like as well.
Yeah, you told me back when I first met you that you got into Funko because they were starting to make things, collectible figures of things that you had never seen before. And you're like, who would make a Clockwork Orange figure? You know what I mean? Or whatever it was.
It kind of started innocently. Like I work on the TV show Ridiculousness on MTV. And my desk was just kind of bare, nothing on it. And I saw this Jabba the Hutt vinyl pop figure, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird looking. Like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That was the first one I bought, and then now here we are, 6 years later, and I probably have hundreds and hundreds in a storage unit now, so it's really out of control. It's become
an obsession. And your desk is one to be rivaled, though. Like, if you work in an office with Casey, you walk by his desk, and you're like, man, I got to put some shit on my desk. You know what I mean? At one point, I felt so threatened by how awesome your desk was that I hooked up a small TV VHS combo just in the corner of my desk that had VHS tapes playing at all times, just so more people would maybe stop by my desk.
God, that's funny. Yeah, I remember you had that. It would play Creep Show and all that stuff.
Creep Show, Roadhouse, all the greats for people to walk by and not work and watch for a second. Very, very cool. Another cool thing as a transition into VHS tapes is your work with VHS tapes. Tell me a little bit about Voltage VHS.
So about 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago, my friend who I went to high school with, Shane Merrill, he brought me a lamp that he made out of a VHS tape of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Mm-hmm. And it had these kind of flickering red and orange lights, so it kind of looked like a lava lamp. It didn't look like a lava lamp, but it kind of looked like, fire burning and stuff. Yeah. And I just thought it was really cool. And then the more I thought about it, the more people commented on the lamp that I had. I was like, we should do more with this. Yeah. It's a very cool idea. You gave me a really cool one for my son, and it's actually his nightlight in his room. My kid's name is Tommy Dalton, named after Patrick Swayze's character in Roadhouse, the middle name. And you gave me a really cool one. That's the Roadhouse. It's like a Roadhouse neon blue VHS lamp. And the light shines through the plastic part where you can see the tape reels for people that are trying to picture what this would look like. Yeah, we kind of shaved down the actual tape inside. So the lamp is more pronounced and stuff. And, yeah. I mean, anybody trying to put this in their VHS player to play it, I think is kind of weird anyway. Sure. But at the point that it's now become a lamp. But yeah, so we've been, selling some here and there, but mostly we've just been working on developing it. And now it's got to a point where we're going to make our debut at DesignerCon in Pasadena. It's this year, November 22nd through the 24th not Pasadena, Anaheim Convention Center. Yeah, it should be great. DesignerCon.com if you want to see more details on that. But yeah, November 22nd through the 24th, if you want to pick up one of these tapes and you're going to be at DesignerCon, stop by and see Voltage VHS. Yes, and then we're going to have tapes where you could either buy it. It's just going to be like a blank lamp with no specific movie affiliation. And it'll come with a remote, so where you can control it to whatever color and patterns that you want. And then we also have an option to where there's a Bluetooth controlled one to where you can control it from an app on your phone as well. Wow, so, that is pretty cool. And that's really taking that idea and running with it, which is great. My partner Shane is just a total electronics and programming wizard, and so he's just took a great idea early on and is now just flown with it. So we're really excited to debut it finally. So very, very cool. That's at DesignerCon, and you can check it all out at designercon.com. If you're getting tickets, go check out Casey and check out one of those VHS lamps. They're very, very cool. I can tell you from the one I have just a few feet away. We're going to do a fun little episode today. This is a What's the Theme round for my friend Luke Mckay in Australia, who's listened, I think, since the beginning of the podcast. He's been on for quite some time, and he writes a lot of great quizzes, a lot of great questions. He sends me stuff. I think he gets a kick
if I had to guess. You get a kick out of coming up with a good quiz, which some people do. And I am grateful for awesome content on the show. And I was looking at these questions, looking at the theme, and I'm like, I bet Casey could figure this out. So this one works like this. You're going to write down the answers to the questions, and we're going to talk through maybe why you know them or don't know them, and give people a second to kind of play along with you. So don't say the answer right away, but you're going to say your answer, and then you look at all your answers at the end and go, what do all these things have in common? How many of these do you think you're going to get out of 10, and do you think you'll be able to figure out the theme not knowing anything about it?
I'll do my best. I have no kind of...
There's no way to guess. Yeah.
Assumption. Yeah.
I'm going to say you're going to get 8 out of 10 of these, and you will figure out the theme. And I didn't even look at all the questions yet, but that's just my guess. All right, let's see. This is What's the Theme? Question number 1. What Academy Award-winning film was based on the novel Push by Sapphire?
Push by Sapphire.
What was the Academy Award-winning film that was based on the novel Push by Sapphire?
Oh, let's see.
When I looked at this, I was like, isn't it called Push by Sapphire? Like, I was like, what are we doing here? But then I was like, oh, yeah.
I remember this because I remember the title of that book being, like, really long and kind of wordy.
Yeah.
But what it boils down to is the movie was called Precious.
Yeah, that's right. You got the first one. Nice job. Precious was the name of that movie. You're 1 for 1. Here's question number 2. In which country could you attend the annual cheese rolling at Cooper's Hill? In what country could you attend the annual cheese rolling at Cooper's Hill? Looking for a country here that does the annual cheese rolling thing.
I've seen a whole bunch of videos of this working on ridiculousness. I believe it is England or the UK, I don't know.
You would be 100% correct. Nice job. England is the answer. So you're 2 for 2. I think you're going to nail this quiz case. I think it's going to work out. Question number 3. Who was the leader of MAD, M-A-D, and the main villain in Inspector Gadget?
Oh, this was... First off, I loved Inspector Gadget. And...
You know what was my weird thing with Inspector Gadget? I liked watching it, but I got noticeably angry at how dumb he was. As a kid, even though he was a cartoon, I was like, come on! And I didn't like, for some reason...
It's like your dog and your little niece are smarter than you.
Yeah, and it used to just make, like, I liked the idea of the show, but I'm like, come on, he's so stupid. Like, it bothered me.
Right.
But it's a great show and very nostalgic for me. Do you remember the name of that villain?
It was Claw. Or Dr. Claw.
Yeah, there you go. That's the full thing. Claw was correct, and then Dr. Claw, even better. And you nailed it. 3 for 3, the leader of MAD and the main villain in Inspector Gadget, Dr. Claw, who they never showed for a long time, and then I think they revealed in the form of an action figure, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right? Like, they just showed his face, they like made it up for the action figure?
I don't ever remember them ever revealing him, actually, so that's interesting.
I think they pulled... I would
be curious to see what the face
of
Dr. Claw would look like.
Yeah, I think he's kind of robotic looking. Try and search that when you're done, or if you're listening to this episode, go check that out. But I think they did one of those things where like the toy came out and just like ruined something, and it was like... It was like the blank in Dick Tracy. It was just like one example of the toy, instead of having the blank face, was just the unmasked Madonna. And you're like, oh, if I didn't see that movie, I guess Madonna's the blank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was fun. All right, number 4 on your list. What is the name of the human protagonist in Rudyard Kipling's most famous stories? Number 4, what's the name of the human protagonist in Rudyard Kipling's most famous stories?
Well, the only Rudyard Kipling book I know of is The Jungle Book. Mm-hmm. And the main human protagonist in that was Mowgli.
Nice job. Mowgli, M-O-W-G-L-I. You're nailing it, Casey. You got 4 for 4. And I knew you'd have fun with this quiz. Here's number 5. A Fistful of Quarters was the subtitle to which 2007 documentary, which followed Steve Weeb's attempt to break Billy Mitchell's high score in the first video game to feature Mario.
Okay, so I kind of have a little quick story about this.
Mm-hmm. Tell.
I visited Disneyland one year and went through the Orlando airport, and they actually had an arcade theme based on this movie.
Oh, really?
That was owned by one of the people that was the subject of the movie, whose name was Billy Mitchell.
Uh-huh.
And I tried to buy a T-shirt there. First off, the person working didn't show up for like 20 minutes. So this arcade had like no staff like while I was waiting for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And when the guy showed up, I asked to buy a shirt. And he's like, I can't sell you one because Billy hasn't been by to sign them this week.
And you're like,
and I'm like, I don't care about a signature. I just want the shirt. And he's like, no, he won't let me sell them unless they're signed.
Wow.
Like, I'll be fired.
That's crazy.
So that's a testament to the ego of Billy Mitchell, who's the subject of this movie. And the movie is called King of Kong.
That is right. Do you remember the other part of it too? Isn't there like another part of the title?
The King of Kong Fistful of Quarters.
There you go. That's just to have the full thing so you can look at it, and that might help you with the theme later. I thought
you said the Fistful of Quarters part. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. All right, you nailed that one. You had a fun story. That's insane that he was like, only signed, please. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he's just a crazy egomaniac. And if you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it because it's amazing.
Oh, that's nuts. All right, here's number 6. What was the highest grossing film worldwide for the year 2015? Highest grossing 2015 movie.
15. I should know this because I play in a kind of a summer movie game contest every year.
Oh, yeah. I remember you doing that at work.
Where we try to guess the top 10 movies of the summer.
Yeah.
And, but 2015, wow.
It's a pretty big one. You'll definitely know it because it's, you know.
I'm just trying to think of what came out that year.
Yeah. This one's fresh in my head. I just happened to ask a question about this same year.
I would think it would be a Marvel movie, but I want to say Jurassic World?
Jurassic World, I believe, did come out that year, but it was not the correct answer. You want to take another guess, or you want me to tell you?
Let's see. God, I don't know, man. I can't remember what all came out that year, unfortunately.
That one, the highest grossing of 2015, was The Force Awakens. I believe that was Jurassic World, Force Awakens, and Age of Ultron, if I'm not mistaken. All came out that year, and then I think those were the top 3. And then I know number 10 was Ant-Man, because I just happened to ask a question about Ant-Man being that year. So you've only missed one. That's pretty good, especially with what I said about you getting 8 out of 10. So if you stay on track, I think you can still get that. Number 7, which Shakespearean play features the characters Brutus, Cassius, Octavius, and Calpurnia? Shakespeare play with Brutus, Cassius, Octavius, and Calpurnia.
As you can see, I'm a big fan of Elizabethan writing. I'm sorry, can you say the character names one more time?
Sure. Brutus, Cassius, Octavius, and Calpurnia.
Oh, man.
I'm an English major, and I would not know this because I don't think I ever had to read this for some reason.
Is it Hamlet?
It is not Hamlet. I'll give it to you. It is Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar. So again, you could write these down if that helps you with the theme later. And you're still on the track for 8 to 10. Here's number 8. Toy Story was the first feature-length film to be comprised entirely of what animation style?
That would be computer animation or CGI.
CGI is correct. Nice job. CGI for Toy Story, one of the first feature-length films to be comprised entirely of that. How old were you when Toy Story came out?
I was 18 years old. That's how old I am.
I think I was 10, and I think that's 5th grade, and I still got a Woody for Christmas that year. And I, like, as a 10-year-old kid, and I want to say I brought it to school, and people were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "It's a great movie."
I was working at a Suncoast Motion Picture Company.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a fun story.
This was right after I graduated high school,
mm-hmm.
and Woody and Buzz were obviously like the big toys that Christmas, and so we sold a couple things Toy Story related in the store, and we had the bigger ones of the Woody and Buzz dolls.
Yeah. And
a customer came up to me and asked, "Excuse me, how much for the big Woody?" And it kind of threw me off, and I had to go to the back and kind of laugh it out.
That's perfect.
It was just because I was like, I just kind of wanted to say, like, I don't know how much you got.
You could definitely see.
Got me fired.
You could see that whole scene in a movie that takes place in the 90s. Like that whole interaction would just be perfect. Awesome. Here's number 9. Let's check this one out. Suddenly 30 was the name of which 2004 rom-com in Australia and other countries. So again, Luke, who wrote this quiz, is from Australia. So Suddenly 30 was the Australian name of what 2004 rom-com?
Let's see.
Came out in 2004, and they called it over there Suddenly 30.
15 going on 30? Or something like that?
No. Close. I think you're combining two different movies, so you're close. If you want to take another guess.
Let's see. Oh God. I know it's like some Jennifer Garner movie, but I'll be damned if I can remember the title.
You got the actress. It's 13 going on 30.
13 going on 30.
Yeah, 13 going on 30, but you're very, very close. We'll give you like a half point. I was
off by 2 years. Whatever.
Yeah, there you go. We'll give you a half point there. And then we had number 10. Only one more question before you have to try and figure out the theme. Number 10. The Adventures of Blank is a series of Belgian comics created by Hergé. Do you know that creator? Hergé, Herge?
Yes.
The Adventures of Blank. I
believe the answer is Tintin.
That's right. I guess we could have said blank blank, but that would have maybe gave it away too easy. But the Adventures of Tintin is correct, and that gives you a nice 7.5. So very, very close to 8. 7.5 out of 10. And you can also get a couple more points here if you can figure out the theme. So if you look at all your answers and you kind of talk it out, is there any theme that jumps in your mind that all those things have in common?
Let's see. Precious, England, Dr. Claw, Mowgli, King of Kong.
It seems easy to me because, of course, I have all the answers in front of me. And I'm like, yep, but I definitely would not be able to figure this out. But I thought you might be able to. We got a lot of movie-related stuff here.
Yeah. Does it have to do with Andy Serkis?
100% correct. These are all things that have to do with Andy Serkis. That's right. Nice job, Casey. Wow. That was a really hard quiz, and you came out on top. So with those points, you got 9.5 out of 12 possible points. That's pretty damn good.
Wow.
There you go, dude. Well done. That was a good quiz, wasn't it, from Luke?
Yeah, because I was going, as I was answering, I'm like, I have no idea what this is leading to.
Yeah. Sometimes they're on the nose. Sometimes you're like, oh, they're all part of something. And then this one you really had to kind of think about. But he gave little explanations, and I'll go over those real quick. Let's see. The first one was Precious for Push by Sapphire. That's, of course, a Lord of the Rings Gollum reference, which he did the acting for. Number 2 was the answer was England, and Serkis was born in England. Number 3, who is the leader of MAD from Inspector Gadget? Dr. Claw, and Serkis played Ulysses Claw in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think Black Panther is his biggest movie as that character. Number 4, what is the name of the human protagonist in Rudyard Kipling's most famous stories? That was Mowgli from Jungle Book, and Serkis starred in and directed Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle. Was that the Netflix one? Is that the one that was like straight?
Yeah, that's actually the first movie he directed.
Okay, cool. And he's about to do what new movie? A sequel of some kind?
He is
Venom 2?
Just signed on to do Venom 2.
That's right. I never saw Venom yet. I still think it looks bad, but I'll still watch it. Number 5.
It's not good, but yet it's entertaining. It's kind of like a weird...
It somehow works? All right.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Fistful of Quarters, Mario, slash Jumpman, King of Kong, and then Circus provided motion capture for King Kong in the 2005 film. Force Awakens, I didn't know this. He was Supreme Leader Snoke. I don't think I've ever read that. I had no idea.
Yes, that's right.
That's pretty cool. Number 7, Shakespeare, Julius Caesar. He plays Caesar in Planet of the Apes franchise, which is great. Really good work in that. Number 8, Toy Story, CGI. Many of Circus's characters are a combination of motion capture and CGI. That was the word I was trying to say earlier, motion capture. And number 9, Suddenly 30 was 13 going on 30. Circus is in that movie. He plays someone named Richard Neeland. And number 10, The Adventures of Tintin is that Belgian comic series, and Circus provided the voice of Captain Haddock and the motion capture for Captain Haddock. And that theme, Andy Serkis. Awesome job, Casey. Where can people find you if they want to see more about you and Voltage VHS?
As far as Voltage VHS goes, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Voltage VHS. You can find us on Instagram at Voltage VHS Lamps. As for me personally, you can find me on all 3 platforms at Pop Culture Casey.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for taking the time on the show, and I'll link all that stuff in the show notes so people can find you just by clicking in the full episode description as well. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, man.
All right. Andy Serkis. What a theme, and a set of questions from Luke Mckay. Luke, as always, thank you for your dedication to writing awesome trivia for the show. It's time for the question of the day, brought to you by Funky Monkey Designs of San Dimas, California. If you need some t-shirts printed, go check out these guys, made in Southern California. Get your shirts made at Funky Monkey Designs in San Dimas, fmdesignsinc.com. What song and album title was released by Britney Spears back in 2008? Tweet me your answer at RyanBuds or email ryanbuds@gmail.com to be eligible for a prize. Yesterday's question of the day answer was Lard Lad Donuts. The Double L episode led to us coming up with one more question, and that was the Simpsons' main donut place, Lard Lad Donuts. And let's see, what else we got there? Oh, the trivia team name of the day. We let the dogs out. Instead of wondering who constantly keeps letting these damn dogs out, we finally have an answer, and that could be your trivia team name next time you play We Let the Dogs Out. Check out Voltage VHS Lamps at facebook.com/voltagevhs, Funky Monkey Designs at fmdesignsinc.com, and you can purchase premium trivia rounds from my friend Katie at trivialminds.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks for telling a friend, and we'll see you tomorrow for more Trivia with Buds. Cheers.